right. Well,
We are back.
good morning. We are back for a Tech Tuesday. I will go ahead and apologize. It's been a couple of weeks. I'm going to take the heat for that. But, such is life. John Cox, glad to have you. Go ahead and get your questions in there, guys. If you've got any questions related to marine tech or, the secrets of the universe, we're happy to take a stab at trying to answer those. One real quick plug. New 2022 Skeeter information. We did a video, Dano and Matt Heron and I sat down and went through and outlined that video. You can find it on our homepage of bucksisland.com or over on our YouTube channel, or you can sift through Facebook and find that video as well. But we went through all of the details of the new changes coming for 2022. So guys, get your questions in, and we'll get to answering them. Otherwise, I'm going to have to dive over here and look and see if I can find some questions. So one thing, I guess, while we're talking about 2022 and the Skeeter upgrades, one big one that you might like is that they're upgrading to the 8 gauge wiring harness.
Yeah, so you don't have to
Yeah.
run really big wire.
So that'll be interesting to see. I know we've done a lot of C-Clear.
We have, yeah.
And it seems like the battery.
Now, I noticed some of the new Falcon, the Predators, have got, it looks like an 8 gauge maybe wire in it. So.
All right. Have you done any more research on the new Yamaha and the alternator and the ability to? What are your thoughts on that now?
We had some sales reps come by, and one of the guys, a new regional guy, and I asked them, but they're like, we're not very tech savvy, so I couldn't tell you. I was like, well, okay. This would be a good thing to know. But the only thing I don't know is if they've put the old style rectifier on those engines where you could charge 2 batteries at the same time, which I'm going to assume they haven't until I hear something otherwise.
Okay.
But what it looks like is they've just integrated the offshore charging system onto because essentially it's the same motor. They just have different flywheels, different stators.
And a cool looking cowling.
Well, I'm just saying between the offshore and that.
Right.
It's just a little bit heavier. When they first came out with that motor, they were more concerned with making it lightweight. And now that all these graphs and stuff are being put on the boat, I guess they're thinking that the fishermen would rather have a little more weight and then be able to charge these batteries up that are sucking all this juice out. But the cowling's going to be cool looking.
Yeah.
But all the 22 model Skeeters will be coming with that.
The new motor. Yeah. So that's good. It'll just be interesting to see how quickly they get those streamed in, and I guess we will say that basically most of the thought right now, the way things are going, is that most of the 2022 Skeeters will probably be put on reserve before they ever get here.
Yeah.
Just like we've been having with all the 2021s. So that's take that for what it's worth if you're in the market shopping for a new Skeeter. But some pretty colors, lots of grays. I'm sure you're happy with a lot of the reds. I'm just.
I like what sells. I don't care what color it is. If somebody likes it, I'll sell it.
Let's see here. Here, John Cox. After reading through my PowerPole charge instructions, there's a caution about wiring through the battery switch. Was mine done correctly?
I'm assuming they're probably talking about putting the charger through a switch, which I don't like. I personally don't like anything going through a switch because that's just one more thing to go wrong. But apparently, all the boat companies, they like to do it because you can shut. If something happens, the reason they do it is if something happens, say, I actually had an older boat catch on fire in the yard. And so I had to scramble to get the battery cables off because I knew it was an electrical fire.
Okay.
Just randomly just caught on fire. If I had a battery switch, I could have turned the battery switch off and then blew the fire out. But I had to sit there and just fight the thing and try to get it off while this thing's on fire over here before I could even go run to get a fire extinguisher, because I knew even if I got a fire extinguisher to squirt that thing out, it was just going to blaze right back up if I didn't get that battery unplugged.
Okay.
So which is, I think, one of the number one reasons why they want to isolate the boat. And if you have a trim switch or something like that go bad, it's going to trim your motor up with that battery switch. If you don't have a battery switch turned off, so that isolates electrical issues as well. But I'm assuming that the power pole charge probably do not want them on a switch. I don't remember. I have to read back through it because my guys down there are mostly doing that stuff, and I have to kind of check on it. But if that's the case, that's probably why they probably don't want them running through a switch, because it's one more thing to go wrong.
Okay.
And if it's the opposite of that, then I'll have to figure that out.
All right. So I think that kind of answers the follow-up question that you had about why the caution with some of that through your explanation of the fire.
And if you're running heavy amps through a switch, you got like a contact in there that's clicking on something whenever you're turning it, and that's two little spots where things arc and cause I guess a cutoff of information or electricity. It can anyway, especially over time.
All right, cool. Yes, it makes sense. Thanks, John. Hope you're enjoying that new charge system. Hopefully, it'll, because I know John got that in there because he's on the water for such a long time, and he's got quite a graph set up, which I don't know. It's becoming more the norm than the than the oddball thing, running Panoptics and all that stuff. So. Let's see. I'm going to run through. If you guys don't have more questions, then I'm going to jump in. Here's one question that somebody asked in the Avid group about anybody upgrading the gauges to the Yamaha digital LED gauges. And that's kind of a common question, I think. It expands into why doesn't the boat come with something that tracks the hours built in? Those gauges aren't cheap, right?
Well, I was going to say this, and I can go even further than that. The reason why Yamaha on the bass boat industry tries to stick with a mechanical engine where it's not like digital throttle shift like a Verado, and Mercury's actually gone back to a more of a manual type shift and a throttle. It's because anything digital just costs a lot more money. So. People say, well, I'm spending $70,000 on a bass boat. It should come with this stuff. Well, if it came with that stuff, you'd be spending $80,000 for a bass boat. That's the difference. So, and as far as reading the hours and stuff, I would like, personally, if I had a boat, to have stuff that read the hours. But you're still looking at more money anytime you have digital stuff on there. So.
Well, that's back to it'd be nice if Yamaha had come out with a little plug-in.
And I think it's coming down the line. They don't like to be left behind too far. And if Mercury's got it, I'm sure they're probably working on it. They got the technology because we use it on the diagnostic stuff. It's just a matter of making a consumer type product that does the same thing. Just
throw it on your phone. And, all right. Is there a way to use regular throttle handle on long runs and change over to the hot foot on short runs on a Mercury 200 EFI?
Absolutely not. Just not possible. The only engine I know of that gives you that capability is a Verado. There's this digital throttle shift, and they actually make a hot foot that attaches to the system where you can push a button and you can change it to your throttle handle or push it again and it changes it to the hot foot. But
the Evinrude for a bit there, I think because it was all digital. As well.
Maybe Evinrude, but I don't count them anymore.
Irrelevant anymore.
They still do it, but
well, just out of curiosity, would there be a way that you could jerry rig with the manual.
I wouldn't even attempt to tell somebody how to do it because
Gotcha.
then they'd be like, "Yeah, it said."
Yeah, you gotta be careful what you put on the internet.
That's
That's
right.
for sure.
Well, what you do here is you take this bubble gum and this electrical tape here, and we'll just cut this thing in half. You can't do
So
it.
you're saying
Think there's a chance?
yes. Looking through, guys, you're killing me. Get me some questions. I'm gonna look through see if there's any decent.
You think 2 weeks they'd have a bunch of questions?
Yeah. Okay. Here's all right. So guy blew out. This is in the Skeeter owner group. Guy blew out his second lower unit. What are some upgrade options on a 2003 Yamaha 225 HPDI?
Hmm. Well,
I'm assuming he's trying to find something that'll get him a little more life out of that.
Well, I guess it depends on the second lower unit guy. A lot of people they get aftermarket stuff. Especially if it's an insurance claim. I see it a lot. You get an insurance claim. You have. I want to say insurance company, but say you have insurance company A instead of B.
Mm-hmm.
Insurance company A sometimes make you get refurbished lower units or aftermarket lower units. So a lot of times, it's a lot cheaper for them, but you get back on the water. But sometimes you get an inferior product in those cases. So the best upgrade is to buy a brand new, factory Yamaha lower unit. So there you go. And then the other question is it? Did that one last 5 years or 10 years,
right?
Or 1 year or 2 years?
So on a normal fishing bass boat use, assuming that you're not banging it against a stump or something like that. How long? How many hours should you get out of a lower unit?
As long as you're not hitting stuff, and even more importantly, not getting fishing line around a prop shaft, which I see a lot,
Gotcha.
Which can kill one real fast because it's just going to dump all. It's going to dump the oil out, and it's going to put water in it, and then it's not going to work well anymore. So. I've known boats that are 20 years old with the same lower unit. So if you service the lower unit, you check it for fishing line and don't hit stuff, then that can last quite a long time.
All right. Well, if we don't get another question, I got a power pole question that we'll finish it off with and head to lunch. And it's a long one in the Skeeter group, but I think basically to sum it up, he's trying to put his power poles down with the neck lanyard, and the problem he's having is it's going about 6 inches and stopping, and 6 inches and stopping. Use the buttons on the pump itself. The power pole works perfect.
Okay. Well,
any ideas?
It may have an issue with that switch itself, but I know if you push the button once, it'll go a little ways and stop. Push it once, a little ways and stop. If you hold it, it'll usually just go on down, or if you hit it twice. Usually if you hit the power pole buttons twice, it should deploy all the way.
All right.
If it doesn't, then he's got a programming issue possibly in the key fob itself.
Okay. Oh, he's still using the remote around his neck. Maybe he's a new boat owner or new power pole owner and hasn't figured out the double tap.
Double tap. Always double tap.
Yeah. All right. One more here. Better hole shot, Mercury 200 or Yamaha OX66 225 on an 04 Nitro 898. Thoughts?
I'm going to just say more likely the 200 because the lower horsepower seems to, and it depends on what liter the engine is. If you got a 3 liter and it's a 200, it'll have better hole shot than a 250 3 liter. Okay, if it's a 2.5 200, means it's going to be close to the max horsepower for that, without it being a racing motor. But the bigger the port timing is, which is how big the little intake and exhaust ports are in the cylinder, the bigger those holes are, the worse hole shot you get. Okay, so if you had a 150 in that same 2.5, it's going to have a better hole shot than the 200 because it loses a lot of horsepower at the bottom because you're putting all the horsepower at the top end. Okay, so so it's kind of a loaded question. They may have the exact same hole shot because the 225 is a little bit heavier motor. Its port timing is a little bit lower because of its 225 instead of a 250. So it could be around the same amount. But if you're having a hole shot issue with either one of them, you can always go down the pitch.
And I'm assuming that's all. I mean, based on that you've actually mounted and set up the motor. If you've got to use wedges or any of that kind of stuff, that it is set up exactly the right way to maximize. I think the other thing worth noting in that I'd ask the question is, well, I'm assuming you're talking about swapping motors in terms of just an expense, all the controls and stuff that go along with it. So how big a difference would that hole shot be versus the cost of?
Well, another thing I would add to that is I'm a big Yamaha fan. Most people that know me know that. Although the OX66 is a great running engine when it's running good, I'm not a big fan of that engine just because it's become more of a problematic motor as it gets older. So if that helps you any, I'd much rather see the 200 come in than the OX66.
Gotcha. Well,
unfortunately, I hate to even say that because I love Yamaha.
That would probably answer the question for me because I can't imagine the whole shot difference would be that much. So, well, guys, I saw John. You talk about reprogramming the power poles. That's good. That's a good little tip there. Customize it, make it the way you want it. Whatever works for you. So, I guess that's it. Any other thoughts? We're full fledged into the summer season. Pontoon boats everywhere.
So I will add one thing to the power pole. I did learn with the app that if you got one power pole going down faster than the other one, you can slow one or speed one up until you get it exactly the same.
You know what I really want to see is the voice activated power poles. I don't know why they can't do that now. I mean,
I don't know if I would want that because imagine riding around with your 10-year-old kid over there. And I said, "Get down, boy!" and the power poles go down.
Fair enough. I'm sure there's a way that they could.
If somebody says Google on my TV, my Google said, "What did you say?" I'm like, "Come on, guys."
Well, and then some jerk in a tournament's gonna, put somebody else's power pole down when they don't want to. But hey, I still, the technology's out there. If you can tell your camera to stop recording, you could probably tell your power poles to go down.
Hey, power poles, deploy.
Just saying, or Raptors, whoever wants to get to it first. But all right, guys, y'all have a great day. Get out there, enjoy the water, and stay safe. We'll try to see you next week.